everyone to our newest podcast episode of Matriarchal Voices. It's a very exciting month for us in October since we are celebrating 2 years of Matriarchy Times. We've come a long way, and in today's podcast, at the end, we'll be discussing our newest roadmap, our newest plan, which we hope to achieve by the year 2030. So exciting things ahead. And yes, hi Poornima, nice to see you.
Hi, Farrah. Hi, everyone.
So how is your week been so far?
Yeah, my week in the patriarchy has been pretty uneventful. But however, I think the most interesting thing that happened to me was yesterday. I was coming home from work in the bus and it was really crowded, and this guy, kicked me in the knee to get to the exit. And yeah, I have a giant bruise on my knee.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing that's happened to me this week.
Okay, I didn't get kicked by anyone, but I don't think my week, I just felt really stressed out this week. I started a new job as well, and it's something that I've never done before. So I have to take calls, cold calls. Um, so all my life I've avoided the phone basically. I hate talking to people on the phone. Even when I used to work at the bank. I used to work in a bank. So when I used to work there, if I had to tell something to my colleagues, I used to actually get up and like walk to their desk, talk to them, and then come back. I felt much more comfortable that way. Even if my colleagues were on another floor, like you could always see me walking around. Like my bosses never told me anything because I used to do my work as well. So I used to like visit the second floor, the mezzanine floor, like everywhere our friends and colleagues were. Like if I want to talk to them, I'll go quickly talk to them and come back. I won't call them on the phone. So it's like I just felt now that I'm doing this new thing where I'm calling people on the phone, I really understood what it's meant when like they say stress drains your feminine energy. Like it's really hard to be like relaxed, comfortable when there are things that are imposing on your ability to be at peace. What do you think about that? Do you find yourself in situations that make you feel less feminine because something is draining your energy out?
Yeah, absolutely. Mostly, it's either at work or in the home where most of the stresses are coming from. And I think those are the two places where you want to feel safe the most because it's where you spend most of your time. And yeah, and I'm also more of a texter than a caller. I hate taking phone calls.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, I'm just like, why are you calling me? Sometimes when the phone rings.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, like, it's important that as matriarchs, as people who are advocating for matriarchal leadership, that people understand that for women to be at their best, they need to be in touch with their feminine energy. And feminine energy is based a lot on a peaceful environment. That's why we say that matriarchal societies are going to be very environmentally friendly and more focused on sustainability. So I believe that there are a lot of women in this world who aren't functioning to their full potential because they're not allowed to by society. And I also feel that this society stress, this need to get ahead, to be on top, to be the leader, to be the boss, all this is like patriarchal programming. So I think in a patriarchal world, women are never going to be able to kind of get ahead to their full potential. Whereas when you see an environment where women are allowed to be women, where women are allowed to think freely, talk freely, and also to relax when they need to take time off, take a break, meditate. Those things are like dreams for us. Because if we stop hustling for a second, we're going to fall so far behind that we're never going to catch up. So, what do you think about this phenomenon?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that later on in the podcast, I also want to touch on a post that I saw online, which also kind of touches on what you're saying about patriarchal societies being formed around the needs of men and to cater to men and kind of When women can't fit around the the needs of the society, then they're automatically seen as weak and just useless. So yeah, that's kind of like what I my opinion
Yeah,
on
and
that.
the best part is they don't even realize that it's not just women. Since we are a balance of energy, we have both yin and yang energy, so feminine and masculine energy balanced inside us. So men who don't let their feminine side out are basically emerging part of their being, of their existence. They think it's
Yeah.
against societal expectations when they find something beautiful. I guess you never see, like, very rarely will you see someone who like appreciate beauty in the environment and actually say it out loud. Even if they're appreciating it inside, like they won't say it out loud, like, oh my God, that's such a beautiful flower. Like, like how
Yeah.
rarely would you hear a guy say that? But it's
I
so
think that
sad, you know?
yeah, and one thing that I've seen this kind of phenomenon in society again is this hustle culture, which is also contributing to women being burnt out and stressed out. And I think that's also kind of like a patriarchal idea of needing to push everyone back in order to get forward and hustling as much as possible, working 24 hours a day. And it's kind of, it doesn't, it's not conducive to our feminine nature, I think, that sort of idea of needing to hustle.
Yeah. Speaking of society and male dominance, what do you think about the results of our election? We had an
Oh,
election
yeah.
recently in Sri Lanka, people who are listening from all over the world, and it was something very shocking, to say the least.
Hmm.
And Poornima
Yeah.
knows a lot more about this than me, so she's going to explain.
Yeah. So for our next segment, we're going to touch on this topic that's pretty close to everyone's hearts these days, or it could be the stuff of your nightmares, depending on how you look at it. And that is presidential elections. And so it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a fresh start. In case some of you may not know, Farrah and I come from a little island country in the southern part of the Indian subcontinent called Sri Lanka. And since you guys last saw us, we have a new president. And I remember when I was a kid and we weren't old enough to vote or even understand the gravity of what a presidential election was. To us, it was just a cultural event where everyone kind of got together to pick a side and root for and just stay up all night eating snacks, drinking coffee to watch the results, and then it was over. But now that we're at an age where we're adults and we've gone out into society and we've joined the workforce and we're deep in the struggle for survival and we're in the fight for social justice. I feel like for me personally, even though I've voted in two presidential elections before this one was kind of special. I mean, since being part of Matriarchy Times, I've been more aware and I've absolutely cared more this time around on what the nominees' views on women were and the state of women in this country. So, what about you, Farrah? How did you feel about our nominees this year?
I felt like they really needed a wake up call. I'm glad that usual parties were so kind of land, they lost with a landslide because it's been too long where people have just been taking the society for advantage, taking advantage of our society, like thinking that people are never going to want to change. So I think that it was kind of heartening to see that people are willing to change. It took a lot, like it took a long time. It took a long time for people to wake up. It took a long time for people to kind of pluck up the courage to do something. But we had that revolution like a year or two ago. And that was the point where people actually started waking up and seeing, oh, look, we can do something. It's like we don't have to listen to them. If we want, we can make a change. So I think that change in mindset, especially the change in the mindset of young people, was important because now we can see, like in the election, even the results are very apparent. Like people who have been voting for the same party all their life changed their minds. They finally got fed up of corruption. finally got fed up of suffering. So I like that's what's going to happen with this patriarchy and matriarchy situation as well. I feel like it's coming to a head. It's coming to a point where more people are recognizing the problems, more people are recognizing where the problem is. So the more people that catch on, I think is the point where we are going to see the real change. And seeing what happened with this election really gave me hope that, people do eventually like get fed up and eventually realize that, okay, we need to do something drastic.
I completely agree with you about the word change. I think that's the key word here. And I think the main thing that drew me to our new president when he was a candidate was his views on women. And I'd like to quote him on something that he said on the night of his inauguration on the 25th of September. And he said, the women in our community who make up over 52% of our population play a vital role in both the economy and the social fabric of our country. We are actively working to enhance women's representation across all of our institutions. As a testament to our commitment, we have already appointed a woman as prime minister. And I love that he used the word representation because I don't think any other candidate in the history of our country has ever spoken that way about women. And like if you're from the US or the West in general, this may seem like the bare minimum for a contestant to acknowledge the state of women in a country, but for us, I think this is significant because within our political arena, women are usually only spoken about in terms of our relationships to families like husbands or children. And but I think this president believes that a woman's place not only in the home, but that women have the right to be everywhere and the right to be represented in all institutions. And now we have a woman prime minister, and the head of the criminal investigation department is a woman, and we can expect to see change in the future. Yeah.
We saw it a lot because of the UN development goals. I don't know if I know it's something that I read a lot about for work, but it's not very common knowledge. So the UN has kind of released sustainability development goals. So they believe that these goals are something that we need to achieve to sustain the continuity of our planet, not just human society, but the entire planet. And when they had to pick certain goals like to follow, they actually included gender equality in there. So even the UN has realized, and they are believing in the fact that in order for our society to continue into the future, like to be sustained, like for sustainable development, there has to be equality. So I think that's significant as well.
And I think another cool thing is, I think our new Prime Minister, Harini, she's also the minister of a lot of different um, ministries as well. And in the past, I think when women were appointed as ministers, they usually took up roles relating to like women's and children's affairs exclusively. So they're kind of like pushed aside in that way. So I was kind of happy to see her take up so many roles that didn't just include women and children's affairs.
Yeah, she's definitely making some good changes. Um, so you mentioned this post that you want to discuss. I think we can move on to that now.
Yeah, sure. So recently I saw this post on Reddit and I thought it would be a good point of discussion and particularly relating to womanhood. And I think it ties back into what you said before about not being one with our feminine energy and how we're all, but even though we're all encouraged to embrace our feminine energy and the physical aspect of our womanhood, and it's kind of a part of our mission in Matriarchy Times as well. But do we ever actually acknowledge how hard it is? And are we ever allowed to admit that womanhood can be exhausting and really tough sometimes? So, like the post of this article was, do you resent your female biology anatomy? And are you a bad feminist if you do? I want to kind of read part of it. I'm not going to go into all of it because it's really long. I think we can link the description in the description below with the post, but let me read some part of it. Here goes. This is partly a vent, I suppose. And I've not seen this idea explored from a feminist perspective before, so bear with me. I sometimes feel such immense hate towards the fact that I was born female. And I don't mean to say that I'm questioning my gender. Shout out to my trans friends. I'm absolutely fine with my identity as a woman and don't place much weight on how I present or what hobbies I engage in. I'm just a mammal who happened to be born with one out of two sets of reproductive organs. I just don't think of my gender identity very much in a social way. It's a social construct I don't see the point of performing in. That being said, I resent my female body. It feels objectively worse than a man's in almost every way. And it's decided for you on a coin flip while you're in your mom's womb. I know the grass is always greener and all that, but if you could have male or female genitals, considering the pros and cons, would you hand to God keep your female ones? Our genitals constantly remind us that our bodies, in very blatant and objective terms, exist in the way it is because we were evolved to carry children, to be torn open and fed open and sacrificed for others. Now your life is to do what you will with it, and not all women want to have children. But if you don't, that biological reminder will always be there, interrupting all you do, almost as if to kick sand in your face and back up misogynists that say, women exist to give me children. You are reminded, as men have a 24-hour hormonal cycle, that you feel for only 1 week as productive and healthy as they do every day. And it's only because your body is trying to give you the drive to get pregnant. They're forced to work while in debilitating pain from your period. Well, the whole notion of a period is called disgusting. And being asked, oh, is it that time of the month or something? When you're not smiling.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Yeah, there's more. This is just half of it, but I'm not going to read all of it, but it's basically just in the same vein as the rest of the post. So I feel like this post touches on some very raw and kind of complex feelings that I'm sure many women experience but don't like are not encouraged to openly discuss, especially in relation to like their biology and the constraints placed on women by society and their own biologies. Because like you said, it's mostly like seen as, oh, you're just weak. Your femininity is weak. Your femininity is making you this way and it's making you weak. So I feel like in this post, there's a lot of like personal reflection and some pretty valid critique of the gendered experiences where it concerns women. So, of course, I invite everyone to comment their thoughts down below in the comment sections, our listeners. But I think that the poster is sort of expressing her frustrations on feminists not acknowledging the very real vulnerabilities and the threats faced by women. So what do you think about this, Farrah? Have you seen this kind of criticism within feminist circles about womanhood and femininity in general?
I think that being vulnerable in a way is also feminine. Like the ability to be vulnerable, the ability to kind of, expose yourself in that way, not be fake, being genuine. Because, I mean, boys being brought up with the notion that boys don't cry harms them in so many ways. And I think, in a way, as girls, we are fortunate to be able to cry whenever we want, even though it might not be something that everyone wants to see or wants to experience, your friend, your wife, or your mother crying. But I don't know, for me, crying is really cathartic. Like after I cry, like somehow I can think better, can think more clearly. So we have some privileges as well as disadvantages, and the disadvantages, I believe, are not due to being women. It's just the fact that women's place in society or the way that society has chosen to treat us. I'm saying chosen to treat us because it is a choice. I mean, it's not every man who will rape a woman. It's not every man who will treat his wife badly. It's not every man who will be frustrated when he sees that his child is a daughter. I mean, this happens around the world, but it's not everyone. So many women suffer because of the way that men have chosen to treat them. And this choice has been given to them by the safety net of the patriarchy. Like the patriarchy has told them it's okay. The patriarchy has told them you're in charge. The patriarchy has told them you decide. And then we see all this. I think social media is a huge issue in this because there are so many videos that some are like just making fun of some situations where, women take charge and then they make it look like a huge joke. So there are people who are influenced by this. There are people who can be influenced by social media to an extent where they don't understand that they're looking at a problem. They don't understand that they're looking at a joke. Sometimes they think they're looking at instructions. Like, okay, if a woman acts like this, it's a joke. You're not supposed to take her seriously. So these situations, I believe, are what are causing this redditor to feel this way. I mean, it's not that I haven't presented myself for being a female. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that I never had these problems, but I did too. But now I feel better as a woman after learning about our divine self. The ability to be able to call ourselves goddesses, I think, is a privilege. The ability to know that our ancestors were actually able to perform magic and it's not fake, that it's real. I think we have an advantage over society as a whole, being a woman. We are stronger than they think, so they won't see us coming. And that I think is going to make the biggest difference. Like
Yeah.
people are not going to expect us to fight back. But so when we actually do take a stand, I think it's going to be much more um, impactful.
Yeah, I think the real issue is that the line between biology and patriarchal influences can sometimes blur, but we can't ignore the fact that the biological experiences we face as women can feel limiting and unfair and terrible. But we're but we also can't ignore the fact that we live in a system that is designed around men and male priorities and needs. And yeah, so I think that feminism and matriarchy is all about breaking down the ways that society handles these differences so that there's equality at the end of the day. So I don't want to blame, like, maybe feminists don't address these issues, but feminism is not the issue here, the solution.
Like I do feel that sometimes the messages come on a bit strong, like women can do anything that men can do. What if we don't have to? What
Yeah,
if we
that's
can
the
do it
issue.
in a different way, in a better way? What if we have a better way to do things? What if we can
Yeah.
figure out something that works, that we don't have to work as hard? Like, for example, I'm pretty sure it's a woman who invented the nail gun. I don't even know, but it feels like something that women would do.
Yeah, and like these different sects of feminism, I think they have a tendency to kind of turn against each other, and that's an issue too. But that's a topic for a different video, I think. It deserves its
Yeah.
own video. Yeah. Yeah. And with that,
Oh
well,
no,
I
it was
think,
nice gentleman named Maurice Pinus who invented the nail gun.
oh, okay, that's an interesting tidbit of information. I learned something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No,
So,
but I
ladies,
feel like there would be like more inventions like this if women were told to make houses. Like you would find so many things to make it easier.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm gonna round off this segment if that's all you have to say about this post, Farrah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, suppose if the people can read it, like, from the
Yeah.
link that they're going to post, it's going to be pretty
Yeah.
self-explanatory. But just a message to women out there, you are not weak because you're a woman. You are not vulnerable. It's just the society you're in, and it's not your fault. And don't hate
Yeah.
yourself because of it. your body wanting to create new life is kind of, think of it this way. You are the only gender who is able to create life. So obviously your body is going to want to do that because that's kind of amazing. So don't resent your body for wanting to like get pregnant or whatever it is. Like these mod, I don't know, like yeah, you can choose not to be a mom, you can choose to be a mom, but I don't think anyone should be shamed for it, which is happening a lot.
Yeah, it's okay if you feel weak sometimes. We don't always have to be strong, and it's okay to have a complicated relationship with your body. I mean, womanhood is complicated. Human life is complicated. Yeah, yeah. So,
So I
yeah.
guess we
So,
can just talk about what we are going to do in the Project 2030 roadmap. We
yeah,
had
yeah.
an
Let's go.
introductory,
Oh,
we had
now
an
we're moving on to
introductory,
one question.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had an introductory session with our members live on Discord where they were allowed to ask us questions, but unfortunately it didn't get recorded. So what would have been public information is now very exclusive information. So I just want to reintroduce the roadmap. So what we're trying to do as Matriarchy Times is we have been working for 2 years trying to build a community, making people aware of matriarchy, about the problems in the patriarchy. So we have wide reach on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and also in our newsletter. We have our website where you can go and read our articles, sign up for the newsletter, and you can also be updated on everything that's happening. So we decided that it was time to kind of create a plan. We've been kind of winging it all this time, like whatever comes to our mind. Oh, do you think this is a good idea? Should we do this? Okay, that's how we've been doing things all this time. So that wasn't working. I mean, it was working, but to an extent, it was kind of erratic. So we wrote all these plans that we have down and kind of made it something that we should work towards. This podcast being number one on our list, launching the Matriarchal Voices podcast. So we have done that. And we are going to support small creators. So if there's anyone out there who does matriarchal content, if you're interested in working with us, please do let us know. We are hoping to spread the word about your channel, about your initiatives. We can help you with that. So we are going to have a creator support program and social media influencers, bloggers, anyone who focuses on women's issues and matriarchy and feminism. Please do reach out to us. We are trying to build a community, and the community is going to be called the Matriarchal Alliance. So we're going to connect with like-minded individuals and communities to kind of grow a bigger, more powerful movement. Because we have members, we have ourselves, our moderators, but we feel like with the help of others who can bring new perspective, who can bring ideas on what they are thinking about, it's obviously going to be a whole lot of things that we have never thought about too, because we have limited, we're living in a country that is patriarchal to the extreme. So we have limited scope on what probably can be achieved through matriarchy because we have been conditioned to believe that we aren't allowed to dream big. So help us to understand how matriarchy is working around the world, and maybe we can grow our community better as well. So yeah, so building the global network is next on the list, what I mentioned. And we want to increase political representation of women and feminist principles through the establishment and support of women-led political parties. So we can't, as the moment, build a political party because we are a global community, which we have members from all over the world, so we're not all in one place. But we can support women-led political parties. So if you know of anyone who needs our support, if you are a woman, if you are a female political party, if you are a female politician and you would like to work with us, lend your voice to us, maybe feature on our podcast. We'd love to hear from you. And we want to mainstream, as phase five, we want to mainstream matriarchy and cultural influence. So integrate matriarchal principles into mainstream culture. So within our community, we have started this with our members. Our members tell us about their experiences living as a matriarchal supportive person. I don't know how we call them, maybe matriarch, living as a matriarch, someone who supports matriarchal principles and matriarchal society. So these people tell us their experiences, like what happens when they go to talk to someone about matriarchy, what happens when they meet someone who's against matriarchy, how those conversations go. So the Discord is also a really exciting place where we connect, and it's for our members. And if you want to join, please visit our website. We'll include all the links below. Come join our community, be a part of this. It's really huge, it's getting bigger. And we also, after 2 years, we're hoping to continue this until we achieve something big. And as such, we also have something exciting for those of you who are not members. We're hoping to have an open forum to discuss our journey for the past 2 years so you can get to know what Matriarchy Times has been doing. We will allow you to ask your questions, maybe give your suggestions. Anyone can join. We'll announce the dates on our social media, so follow us there and stay updated on what's happening. I hope that a lot of you will come because we have done a lot of work in the past 2 years. We have come really far from where we started. It was touch and go for a while. We are hoping that we will get more support from you, and we are hoping that we can connect with a lot more people on this subject and in this community. So, Poornima, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a really exciting initiative. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see new members join our little community and help us grow. And also, we have more exciting um, projects and events planned, and we'll be sure to update you on that in the future. So watch this space. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we hope you enjoyed listening to us. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Um, and you can also, like Farrah said, you can join our membership for access to Discord. There's some really interesting conversations happening on Discord now if you want to join. And yeah,
Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We may have been rambling a bit here and there, but we spoke honestly. We spoke exactly what we're thinking. So we're hoping that some of you can resonate with our message. Maybe leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell us how we can improve. We're also learning. We're looking forward to hearing from you guys. Okay, see you all.
bye everyone.